My pregnant sister-in-law just tried to ruin my future. Oh, and my brother knew about it too. That's why I decide I'm going to take revenge on both of them. Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well, but I'm not because I feel stuck in a dilemma that I want to share with you. I'm Andrea, living with my brother Andrew, and I know there's a huge age gap between us. I'm 17 and he's 33. Well, there were a few reasons that I was told. The first was that Andrew was firstborn, which was rather unplanned, and after that Mom wanted a girl as well. But all 3 times either they were stillborn or were not able to survive. When Mom had the last hope, she had me, and I was the most cherished one by my parents. But as I grew up, my dad became distant from us and got married to somebody else. I was merely 12 years of age. Mom got depressed after he left us, and me and Andrew tried hard to accompany Mom or get her therapy. Andrew had already started earning by then, assuming himself as the man of the house, and took care of us. But somewhere, seeing my brother as an elder and taking all the responsibility, he barely had time to just be a brother and a son. Mom missed him as a kid, who was just her son, and that void was taken over by me as the younger sibling. Mom has been very inclined towards me. She felt that she could only be a mother to me in place of Andrew. Being a 13 to 14-year-old kid, I failed to realize that my mom's attitude made him cold towards me because I was the one who got priority. His jealousy was reflected in certain actions as well. He nitpicked the fights with me, refused to come home, passed snide remarks, etc. As a result, he grew up to be a rebel and always questioned and resented Mom's intentions. Mom, who was already battling with depression and trying to hold herself together, got further affected by his distant behavior, and her old insecurities crept in. She started fearing that one day Andrew would turn out like his dad. I regret that I could not notice that Andrew was burdening himself with responsibilities to remaining away from us. And this jealousy towards me for Mom's attention was the final nail in the coffin, that he refused to be with me under the same roof. He's been sending his money since I was in middle school, and my mom's battling depression and needs medical attention, but he hardly came home. Seeing Andrew withdrawing himself from us, she was cornered about me, since I would be left alone with Andrew. What could be the worst possibility that turns out to be true? You must be wondering why she feared me being alone with Andrew, so let me answer that. As she was diagnosed with a clinical depression and a brain tumor, there was hardly anyone left to look after me. But thankful Mom has her savings from the beach house, which she had received through alimony along with a few estates that she sold with the help of Andrew and gave me a greater share since Andrew had been earning well by then, and she did not want me to be a financial burden to him. She was also only worried about how I would manage to live by myself, so she took a promise from Andrew to look after me when she was no more. Though we were not unaware of the fact that Mom's health was taking a toll on her life, and soon the grief of her loss was going to be unbearable. When Mother passed away, that was when my life took a turn. On the day of her funeral, I came across someone else as well. Andrew's girlfriend, Gloria. She wasn't too bothered, although she was really warm and consoled me for the loss. I wasn't in a state to pay heed to her. I confined myself to the company of my grandma, where I sought my emotional comfort with her. Since that day, my grandma has taken the place of my mom, and I've shared every little detail of my life with her. While I was lost in the picking up the pieces of my life, I realized that Gloria and Grandma don't do well together, and I often found Andrew and Gloria on one side and Grandmother on the other. When Andrew proposed to Gloria that day, I got to know that they were planning to get married in just a few days. It became pretty obvious to me that Grandma's not fond of Gloria. So, Andrew's wedding arrangements were not her subject of interest. She does not want to attend their wedding, and before leaving our place, she told me that she was just a phone call away and could come whenever I liked. I thanked her and said, why would I need to come over? She didn't want to upset me. She only said that maybe someday if I changed my mind or did not like being with him, she would be glad to keep me with her, and I did not mind that much, but she looked quite concerned before leaving. And in her stern voice, she told me to be aware specifically of Gloria. Well, I couldn't argue much, but I just nodded. I was grateful that Andrew did not turn out to be a bossy big brother after Mom, and neither did my sister-in-law Gloria. She was nice and easy to get along with, and Grandma used to call me every week, and I used to share everything with her. The void of Mom leaving was filled in a few months, and Gloria was like a big sister to me. I was grateful that I did not fall short of such people even after Mom left us. I lent a hand to her for house chores, running errands, etc., when I got time because I reached high school till then, and everyone was looking out for the majors and university admissions. I was studying for exams to get into college of my choice when I discovered that Gloria has become pregnant. Andrew wants me to take care of her, though I was busy. I tried to do as much as possible. Thankfully, my exams were completed without much interference due to Gloria's health condition, but I did not get a break even after taking exams because Gloria now had a huge baby bump and was 7 months pregnant. I looked after her as much as I could, but it wasn't easy because she turned out to be moody and her hormonal levels started messing up with my mental health as well. Andrew did not have any time to look after her because of her condition, which requires proper medical attention, and he was responsible for paying for it. I had to go with her to the regular appointments and grocery shopping, to do laundry, cleaning, and everything else required because as a younger sister, I was supposed to do it. Gloria often says that I've grown into a complete brat, and Andrew, along with Mom, has spoiled me. I hated her for bringing my mom in between, but I let her go, thinking she might be thinking straight and I should not worsen the environment due to her condition. But soon all my tiredness faded away as soon as I saw my result, which was grades. And with that, I was eligible to secure admission at the desired university. I could not wait to share this news with everybody, and when I gave it to Andrew, he was proud of me. But Gloria did not seem to be bothered by it, though, yes, she congratulated me. But I was in such a great mood that I ignored it. I shared this with Grandma, and she was overjoyed and reminded me that Mom must have been proud. I was hoping to receive emails from my desired university, and was delighted when I got them. But soon my happiness was overtaken by Andrew's anxiety due to, his Gloria condition. Due to certain complications they were facing during this time, Gloria, who has reached her 8th month of pregnancy, needs 24/7 attention, while Andrew cannot afford to leave his job to take care of Gloria. But I was glad that her 8th month had already arrived, and soon after her pregnancy, I would be allowed to have my own time, but I was wrong about that. When admission dates arrived, I was getting restless to secure my admission as soon as possible, but Andrew denied me permission. Meanwhile, Gloria, who was not in the right state of mind, dealing with anxiety, cravings, mood swings, was unable to move as frequently and use stairs, and I was responsible for staying with her at all times because Gloria's parents cannot come up to look after her as they reside in Russia. They also cannot understand the language or know the area to help her. I saw Gloria was getting extremely anxious due to the complications that the doctor had warned her about, but even they needed to understand that the last dates for admission are about to get over soon. I don't know what to do. Please suggest it to me fast. I'm confused, indecisive, and not much time is left to think about it. Update number 1. Hey there, guys. You guys were absolutely right about not risking my major life decisions due to such issues, and thanks for giving me confidence that I was not being selfish and thinking about myself because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. My chances of securing admission won't be coming again, and I can't risk my entire career life for them because it won't be worth it. However, it is a little insensitive to think that they could still try for another child if, God forbid, something bad happens to this one. So I've made up my mind to go to college and get my admission secured by hook or crook. I made a nice meal, took care of Gloria, and tried to keep her mood right because of her mood swings. She seemed to be in a good spirits now, and when Andrew arrived, I knew it was my time to give it a try to convince him. I came up with a solution to their worries and told them to hire a caretaker nurse just to look after Gloria for 2 to 3 days, and till then I will be back from college. But my hopes were shattered when I realized that it was futile to convince them. He didn't listen to me. He thinks that I'm just a kid and don't know how things work, and looking at Gloria picking up drama, Andrew got nervous because of her dramatic reactions. Well, I couldn't do much. I've made up my mind that if he does not allow me to go, then I will do it the other way. So it was better to escape all this drama because I did not have enough time to deal with it. I took a shortcut. Late at night, I packed up my bags and everything. When people were deep asleep, I gave a call to Grandma about my arrival. She was eager to meet me and was already encouraging me to make life decisions without worrying about being a nanny to grown-ups. She was not wrong about it. Residing on the ground floor is always easy to escape from. I left a text message to Andrew along with the contact number for Nurse in case anything goes wrong. At least I won't be blamed for it, and I quietly went away from home, reaching Grandmother's house in just a few hours. I had already looked for a bus ticket, and Grandma welcomed me. She didn't want me to leave ever, but I had to. When the deed was done, after all the formalities and other work required, I departed for home, hoping everything would be fine with them. I reached home trying to think of reasons that could make up for my reckless move. I thought of compensating for it by being the best sister to Andrew and taking care of his wife. As I expected, they were both upset that I left without telling them, but Andrew was happy that I got an admission and wanted to celebrate. But seeing Gloria sulking, he didn't dare do that. It was hard to cheer up Gloria, and I apologized for her being reckless. Somehow she was ready to forgive, though, but she had the belief that I would never leave her again. I nodded without understanding what she meant by that. She also said that she would name her daughter after me and make her godmother. But for that, she asked me to promise her that she would always be my first priority. When I asked about going to college, she said that family always comes first and I should not get myself obsessed with superficial stuff like every other teenager. Nothing feels right when we don't have anyone besides us, and I have already experienced the loss of my parents. She told me that I still had a chance to withdraw the admission because the place was too far from home, and I would miss them just like I did this time. Being a younger one and a favorite in my family, I would miss all the love and attention while living amongst strangers, and I'm still a little girl that she met a few years ago at my mom's funeral. She tried to warn me that I would regret my decision. After listening to her, she trapped me in the same dilemma as I was a few days ago by implanting doubts and fear in my mind. Update number 2. Hey guys, sorry I did not get a chance to inform you earlier. I am at my grandmother's place now, but I'm in a deep regret and despair situation. Thankfully, my classes are about to start soon, and I'm hoping that I'll get, away from all this. It all started with my most special day, which is now completely ruined. That special day was my birthday. Not just every birthday, but my 18th. When a typical teenager becomes a full-fledged adult, they could now make their own decisions, get a license, officially buy drinks. It was all fun and games. Until you were made responsible for the consequences, and there would be no juveniles for it. So I was excited. I decided on my birthday dress and shortlisted the gifts that I would ask for from Andrew and Grandma. I woke up early due to restlessness, and I got several wishes at 12 a.m. I planned the theme of my party and decor and texted all my friends to be on time. I got up early in the morning and received a phone call from an unknown person. I thought it must be somebody from college wishing me a happy birthday, but it was a man who introduced himself as Mother's lawyer. Our family lawyer. Before I wondered why he told me that, as I've just turned 18 years old, I would be given access to all the money that was named under my mother for my educational purposes. So, he asked me when I would be free to fix an appointment with him to get started with my paperwork and verification process. He told me to come with Andrew because he would be handing over my money, which was taken care of by him. I told him once it was decided that I would revert to him soon. When I came upstairs, I found Andrew in his room with Gloria, and I was surprised to see him because it was a work day, and Andrew was home. They looked a little tense while discussing something, and I listened to them to know if they were in the right mood to break this news to about the lawyer. I heard from Gloria why I even needed to study. I was already too dumb to get a degree. She was quite surprised by my scores, and she never thought that I would be able to get enough to get into college. Andrew was worried and said that his mom wanted her to get into college. She comforted him, saying that I could do that afterward at any local university, but this time their baby was more important. And I, on the other hand, do not even know how to handle such amount of money. She brought his hand to her belly, saying that this was more important, and that they would spend the money on their future responsibilities. I was shocked I could not even control myself, and I barged into the room. Without giving a damn about their privacy, I asked how dare she think about what she would do with my money. I was so angry that I could slap her for calling me dumb. I threw their wedding picture lying on the bedside table and started throwing a tantrum. Andrew tried to stop me, but I had already lost control and started throwing things at him, saying he was a selfish brother, and he'll be worse father than our dad. He's no different from him and is married to Gloria, who's exactly like the woman who took our father away from us. Well, at that point, Andrew lost his cool and slapped me hard. I was heartbroken that he sided with Gloria, and I could resonate with grandmother's place, who was alone, and Andrew, Gloria, on the other side. I started cursing her baby, wishing all hell upon it, just like they were doing with my life right now, and at that moment, the water broke. Andrew was shocked, trying to tell Gloria that she should not bother about me, but she could not stop reacting to my words, and approached me in a direction to raise her hand, but instead, she couldn't balance herself after her feet had landed on one of the glasses at the floor, and she directly fell on her stomach. Andrew rushed to pick her up and told me to call an ambulance, but I left the room, banging the door behind me, leaving Gloria screaming in pain. When I started to pack my bags, I saw an ambulance come over, and I made my way to get out of my place, and I did not bother to go back to them, though I was a little worried about the unborn child. But staying away from them would be better to avoid further possibilities. When I came to Grandma's house, I vented my angers and sadness to her. She comforted me and said that Gloria had treated me like a house servant, and it made sense why she never wanted me to leave the pace in the name of the family being the first priority. It was only her upcoming child who would be the priority, and I was supposed to be a nanny, or, in sugar-coated words, the godmother of her child. It all made sense to me. I told Grandma about how she had tried to convince Andrew to use that money for themselves, which Mom has saved for my future education. Grandma suggested I hire a lawyer and warned against Gloria because she would retaliate after what happened, even though it was just an accident. To cheer me up, she baked a cake. Then I remembered that my special day was ruined, and I was in tears. After about 3 days, I get a letter that contained restraining orders and a date for a court hearing. The case was filed against me for inflicting Gloria with emotional distress over her pregnancy. And I've also decided that I won't back down and will file a case against her for embezzlement of my funds. My emotional distress was due to the revelation of her truth and not because of me. I called my family lawyer, who had informed me about my funds and explained my situation, asking him to file a report of fund embezzlement against Gloria. He told me to meet up on the date of the court hearing. Update number 3. This is the post from Gloria's perspective. Let's jump into it. Hey guys, I'm Gloria, and thanks for all the hate and mean comments. Everybody just thinks. Andrea is a pure soul that she sacrificed herself up until now, huh? So let me remind you that your pure soul, Andrea, was the one who left me screaming when Andrew asked for help calling an ambulance. She was the one who was responsible for the fact that I landed in the hospital and my newborn's hospitalized and is in critical condition. And she never bothered to come back, not for my sake, but for the infant who just came into this world and who was no fault in the mess that we adults are stuck in. I lost my cool when she cursed my child, and her words resonated quite well, which brought such a traumatic condition upon us. As a parent, you can imagine how painful it is to see your newborn under a ventilator. I'm writing this to you at the hospital as seen as I get my senses, and to share my side of the story, well, maybe I was not perfect, but neither is Andrea. Oh, Andrew was under so much pressure that he was already struggling financially. When Andrea came up and made things worse, I have so much to tell you, so let me give you a brief overview of the beginning so you can better judge for yourself. When I met Andrew, he was such a loner and a bit rebellious. Later, When our friendship developed, I found how neglected he felt in his personal life. Ever since he was born, his parents also just wanted a girl, and when they did, he was completely excluded from the picture. He was the best when in company, and it did not take us long before we got emotionally close to each other. I knew that his younger sister was the favorite one, and when his dad left him, he still did not get attention from his mother because she was always busy being a mother to his sister. Andrew kept himself busy with responsibilities to distract himself from his emotional distress. As a result, Andrea turned out to be a little bratty and stubborn kid whose demands were filled without even asking. Most of his frustration and anger towards his mom was directed at poor Andrea. Even though he knew that it wasn't her fault that she was the favorite one, it was his parents. After his mother's death, his grandmother's main concern was for his sister, and Andrew was still ignored by her. I was the only one who stood by him when he was suffering from pain and loss, but after their mother's death, he had never been bossy or mean to Andrea. In fact, I liked Andrea. To my surprise, she was really sweet, shy, and timid, but in pain, the only person with whom I had a problem with was their grandmother. My great-grandmother-in-law. She held her perception towards me as a selfish person just because I was, a little more concerned for Andrew due to their constant neglect. And she just behaved like a typical mother-in-law. Andrea was close to her, constantly kept feeding her the nonsense against me that she had in her mind. I thought that after getting married, Andrew and I could start our family together, even though that was not possible because I kept getting repeated miscarriages and complications and all sorts of things, trying to deliver the baby. We were already devastated because of it, and I appreciated having Andrea beside me when I was going through that tough time. She helped me with my daily task, and finally, when I was able to conceive, Andrea had her exams, and I was anxious that any single mistake could cost harm. But finally, because of my medical consolation and Andrea being by my side, I was able to carry my pregnancy for longer. However, I made it to the 7th month, and Andrea started getting on my nerves. Honestly, I was quite shocked that a bratty, stubborn kid like Andrea actually had the brains to score well. And in response, she started insisting Andrew let her take admission to the desired college, which was far from home. Andrea does not know that her brat attitude would make it difficult to go through college, and she also doesn't have the ability to finish the degree that she was pursuing. But she crossed her limits when she ran from home, and Andrew was devastated when he could not find her until, he found a text message from her. She did not pick up the call for 3 days, and we only got her updates through the grandmother. When she was back, I somehow forgave her for her notorious act and persuaded her to withdraw from the degree, which would be quite useless to her. She's better at home, doing menial chores. I had no issue with Andrea as long as she is an obedient girl, and as a reward, I promised her to be the godmother of my baby. Andrew was not doing well because it was my 8th month, and his financial pressures were increasing to meet medical expenses, and he's lost his mind when he was fired from his job. I tried to convince him that he could use the money that was named below, education funds. That was where Andrea's meanness revealed in front of me. She never thought twice that her actions might have impacted somebody's life. How can I let her go just now when she left me in the room, dying in pain? So I filed a case against her as soon as I got discharged for causing me emotional and mental distress during pregnancy. Final update. Hey guys, it was the day of judgment, and I vented out everything that I've been through, along with the post that she shared on the platform where she mentioned that a baby could be conceived again, but her lifetime opportunity just won't be coming back. I used all her social media accounts against her and my side of the story. When it was her turn, she did not have any evidence to prove that I planned to embezzle her educational funds for the sake of education. Andrea, in her defense, said that it was all an accident and whatever she said only because she lost in her rage. When she found that I wanted to take the entire amount of her frustration, she sabotaged her career as if she had any. Her degree and education were useless for a dumb person like her, and I did not hesitate to confess about that as well. Also, After what happened, I didn't want Andrea to stay with me because I couldn't risk my newborn child around her, who has such anger issues. Well, things worked in both favor to some extent, since Andrea was still in her teens and her anger issues were not taking into much regard. As she was just pursuing graduation, she cannot pay the fine for the harm done. But her right to receive any financial help from Andrew was completely canceled, and she was not allowed to stay with us anymore as per the restraining orders. Andrea has no regrets about leaving us as well. Though she had lost the case of funding embezzlement, she was still allowed to receive the money under her name because she could afford a better lawyer than us, who won the family case. And Grandma was already on her side anyways. Andrew missed Andrea leaving them, but he could not forget what she did with their upcoming child. Top comments from the final update. Comment number 1. OP, you've done the right thing. Andrea doesn't deserve to be you. You did everything to reward her for whatever she did to you, either good or bad, and your husband's taken care of her since their father left. He did no wrong when he thought of taking some money for himself during such an emergency. Andrea has clearly overreacted, and her selfishness has emerged when she denied you to borrow her money from her education fund. What is the use of such a fund when you can't afford a job to pay back for it? Comment number 2. OP, your grudges over Andrea is completely fine, but the way that you talked about her and having an education was really mean and selfish. You only wanted her because she would remain a house servant to you and nothing much. If you actually needed the money, you've asked her directly, she would have lent you something. But the way you talked about her behind her back shows how you truly felt about her, and hence she fumed in anger. Also, when you got furious, you forgot your water broke. How could you not be bothered about your child and still focusing on her at that point? That was completely your fault. Next time, focus on your kid. This entire story was a disaster. It was a mess. It was so messy. I guess the only good thing that came out of this was the fact that OP was able to finally recover the stolen education funds. I do want to know your thoughts on this story though, because there were a lot of comments that were basically going 50-50, butting heads with each other. Either one commenter did not agree with OP, saying that OP took this too far. When we finally got to see Gloria's perspective, a lot of the commenters seemed to switch up their flow, from backing up OP to kinda going against OP. But I do want to know your thoughts about it. Where do you guys sit with the story? Drop your comments downstairs in our comment section. And if you guys are new to the channel, I want to welcome you. My name's Mr. Reddito, and I narrate stories like this every single day. So if you just can't get enough, I'll be back tomorrow. Also, check out the playlist down below in the description. It has some of my favorite stories I've narrated, so go give it a watch. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.